Hello everybody and welcome back to Space Engineers, and today we are going to be building ourselves a new mining ship. The last one we used was basically just to get us the cobalt we wanted, nice and quickly without having to deal with too many problems. We're going to reutilize the battery that we had because it's still got a little bit of power, but effectively I'm going to remove that battery altogether and have new batteries on my ship. The other thing I've done is I've made some slight adjustments to the base here. I've removed the assembler and placed it here. Obviously it's just part for part, so it was nice and easy to move it, and it also allows us to have access to our refinery stuff because I had it where it was connecting around here. Decided it didn't look too good, so I removed it. I've then connected the conveyor, the cargo container, directly to the refinery, and also here, so it connects the rest of the base, so it's all now connected to itself. Everything can be gathered from this here where we're going to be parking our new ship. Now, short term, I am going to have the connector underneath the bottom of my ship so it can still connect to this. However, long term, I'm going to make a ship with a connector on the back. Rather than have it on the front, I'm going to have it on the back so that we can do a few little different things with it. And that'll become more apparent when we start building the main base. But right now, we've got ourselves a blank canvas because we've now got ourselves some cobalt, so we can build some more thrusters. Now, the design we had, we could have just improved with more thrusters, but I want to kind of get more resources and a little bit quicker, rather than, you know, this whole trying to collect it over over a longer period of time. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to place myself 3 cargo containers. We're using the medium cargo containers again. Now, effectively, that's probably going to, well, that's 3 times the amount. So you know, 1 cargo container we had before, we're going to have 2 more, plus we're going to have the drills as well. What I am going to do is I'm then going to place some batteries on it. What I'm going to do is I'm going to place 3 batteries on this build, as well as the one that I'm currently got on the move. And the reason why I'm going to do that is I want it to last a little bit longer, and 1 battery was not much time whatsoever. Realistically, 2 batteries might run it, but 3 is a bit safer. We're going to want to put our connector on, and I'm going to place a connector in the middle of these 3 cargo containers, mainly because I don't want to be stuck with losing it if the back end one goes off, and also it just looks a little tidier when you've got it on there. Now, the only other thing we need to really put on is our cockpit, and obviously our drills and our little ancillary stuff as well. But let's go ahead and place one of these on. We're then going to place the connector to the cockpit, like so. And then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to flip over to here. I'm going to place a single block there, just so it's got nice contact on all fronts, like so. I'm going to leave the top for now because obviously I want to be able to weld everything. I'm going to flip this over like so. Realistically, that's most of the chip done. We now just need to get our drills, so I'm going to flip it over, put 2 plates here. And what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to place 2 drills on this time. So rather than the one we had last time, we're going to put 2 on so that it can drill twice as fast and also drill a bigger hole. It's a little easier for us when it comes to gathering resources and getting our ship in and out. We're then going to place a block in the middle there so it's nice and secure. Sorry, not a block. It's supposed to be a block. That's supposed to be a connector. We're going to place our connector there. What that's now doing is it's connected to the cockpit, which is connecting to our containers, which is obviously connecting to our connector. Everything is now connected, and we've got still a nice sleek design. We now need to think about protection and our power supply. Sorry, our thrusters. So before we had 4 thrusters. I'm going to replicate the 4 thrusters we had on there, like so. This is a much bigger ship now, as in it can carry more weight. The 4 thrusters we had before probably wasn't enough for this design, so I'm going to place 2 more on, and hopefully this is going to be enough. But what I'm then going to start doing is I'm going to start thinking about our back end thrusters. What I'm going to do is I'm going to place 4 back thrusters, like so. We still don't need any thrusters pointing down because we can use the gravity nice and easily, so we don't have to worry about that. But we are going to have to worry about our reverse thrust. So I'm then going to place 4 thrusters on the opposite side, like so. have to excuse me being upside down. That is pretty much all you're going to need for that. Now all we need to do now is place our side thrusters on, and for that I'm going to place some armor plates on and place our side thrusters on there. It'll become a little bit more apparent when it comes to trying to put things on top here, because if I try placing this on here, I can't actually do anything. I can actually place it on top of there. You know what? I am actually going to place it on top of there, and I'll incorporate the armor plates to it. Now what I could have done is I could have placed them underneath, but what I might actually do is actually still place them underneath. No, I can't place them underneath, ignore me, because that would be damaging them, because these are thrusters, so that's the, you know, you're not giving enough clearance to the bottom of it there, so you end up burning your thruster. What we've got to then bear in mind is now we've got a lot on top that we could damage it if we do too much leaning over. So I want to protect my batteries, and I also want to protect these as well, so I'm going to start thinking about some armor plates. I'm also going to start thinking about things like lighting and stuff like that. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to get it all welded up. Once it's all welded up, we'll come back and we'll start looking at doing some lighting and some armor plates, so that this is a bit more of a practical ship. And also if we need to make adjustments later down the line, we've got something else to work on. So without further ado, let's get on with the welding and let's get a ship actually look like a ship. Welcome back everybody, and I just want to pause here for a moment because I'm going to do a couple of things that I want to just not waste your time as I watch. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm actually going to start putting some steel plates around like so, and I'm going to start making a little bit of a shape. Now if you want to change the shape of the blocks you're using, you use your mouse wheel to scroll through, find the desired shape you want. There's quite a few different shapes, and there's a few different curved ones as well. If you want the curved ones, you can unlock them as we did before by grinding one down, or if you go to your progression it'll tell you how to do it. And these are your curved ones and they do the exact same here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to just design up a little bit something here, and the idea is I'm going to basically have it where it's going to provide a little bit of a buffer like so, so that the first thing that it's going to probably hit is the steel plates. Plus it gives a little bit of a style and shape to my design. So I'm going to continue doing this whilst I finish off the welding. The other thing I want to discuss is we're actually out of resources. Now we've got a couple of options here. I can go and grind some more stone, but I've actually got quite a few resources from what we've been working on in my inventory. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to deposit everything in my inventory. Now because we've got drain all set to the connector on the base, it's actually draining everything out of here into the connector. And I said to you there's a few things we need to do with that, and I've just left it for the time being, but we will come to it soon to cover what we need to do to stop that from happening. I've done it on purpose, so I won't necessarily say go ahead and do this, but it does kind of put things into one place at the moment, and we'll look at altering it because it will still pull from this to do what we need to do. Now what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to look at grinding a few things down so that we've got resources to build the rest of the ship. Now I want my construction components because I'm short on them. I also want one display. Now I have already done this just a moment ago, but if I want to build some more stuff, so I want to build a display, it'll probably build the display because we've got everything we need for it. Place that there, it's still on the display. I only needed the one. I'm going to need more steel plates, I'm going to need some more construction components. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to switch to disassembling. What that does now is that anything I put into the queue here will disassemble. Now I can set it to disassemble all of one thing. So say I don't want bulletproof glass, I can set it to do 1,000 bulletproof glass, and when there's nothing in it, it'll just hold it. And then when I put the bulletproof glass in, it will recycle it into usable components. Now this is very useful when it comes to some other stuff, things like dumping stuff in, so it'll just break it all down. Personally, I don't use the disassemble that much, but at this stage I don't want to go out there mining by hand anymore. I've got enough components on me to change it over and do something else with it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to find something that's highlighted in here in white, and I'm going to grind them down. Now I know I've got about 160 interior plates. I'm probably not going to need it, so I'm actually going to put 130 back in. The white still, so I've still got some left over, and I'm going to keep hold of everything else. I'm just going to build myself 10 mortars by switching back over to assembling and putting 10 in. And then I'm going to switch back over to disassembling to let it continue. That's going to take a quick moment there just to do that. By the time I come back from welding the last bits in there, I can switch it back over to assembling, and it can continue doing the resources for me. I'm going to go ahead and do that now. I'm going to place some blocks on here, then we'll discuss what I've done. But I just wanted to mention a couple of things partway through the build, just so we understood why we're doing it, and the reasonings behind it all, and how you can do it yourself, and the reasons why you might want to do it. So let's get back to our build, and hopefully we can have it done and dusted. And welcome back everybody, and we're pretty much there with the ship. There's just a couple of thrusters here that we need to sort out. I was going to just leave it with just 2 front facing thrusters, but with the weight that we want to carry, it ain't going to get out of the hole if we do it that way. It'll end up being stuck, so I've placed them back on, but we're a little low on resources because stone just does not give us enough iron to be able to build most of this. Now most of the stuff you build needs iron, a lot of iron. And the best resource is iron ore. The stone gives far less compared to what you get out of the normal resources. So what we're going to do is we know of a little bit of iron ore from the cobalt deposit that we have. So what I'm going to do is first is I'm going to disconnect from the base. Now it tells me I've got 35 minutes of power. So if I go ahead and collect some ore, the likelihood is I'm going to struggle to get it back, but we're going to attempt it because hopefully good enough to get us there and back, because it is only just literally here. This is the reason why I didn't bother putting a marker down, because I know it's so close. Fingers crossed we can just get enough going to keep us going for now until we do come to obviously building some projects. Bring ourselves down. Remember, we've got 1 forward thruster short, so we're going to just be a little bit careful. We have got our detector on, so we should be picking up the iron when we get a little closer. See how close we are here. Go. Jump it, there it is. What we can do is we can bring ourselves in as close as we can to the iron. Going to be about here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to make sure that my drills, block tools, are on there, like so. We've got our right click. I'm just going to make ourselves a little bit of a hole. Now remember, we have no thrusters on top, so if we make ourselves go like all the way over, we'll lose the ability to flatten ourselves out. Let's just make this gap a little bit bigger. Going at an angle like so. Keep ourselves from catching that there. We should be able to just pick up enough iron to keep going. Now remember, we're not collecting anything at the moment because we're right clicking, and there's the iron, the nice lovely red there. But we can now just take a bit of this iron here into our ship. So yeah, for enough reason. Now with the steel plates that I've placed on the ship, you can see now that we can actually take a little bit of a hit on the ship. We still can't take too much of a hit, so just bear that in mind. How much iron have we gathered? We've got about 17k of iron in our drills and another 5k in the cargo container. So let's just get ourselves a little bit more. But I've still got a little bit of work to do on the mining ship that I want to do before we officially have this as our mining ship. Get ourselves back out. We'll collect a little bit of ice while we're here and keep our ice topped up for our refinery. For our O2 H2 generators. But we are good to go. Let's get ourselves back to base. And as you can see now, we've got about 8 minutes of power remaining. Let's get ourselves to base. Still slow at slowing down, but we're a little bit quicker now than what we were when we had our small mining ship. Always aim to go past your base if you are traveling at high speed, because if you look, I don't have to do too much and either just pass safely past that power supply, but we timed it pretty well. Let's go ahead and park ourselves on here. Now with this iron ore, we're going to get ourselves plenty of iron for our production, so we can start queuing up a little bit more than what at the moment we've been kind of reactive with our gathering of materials for building and stuff like that. So what we'll do now is we'll switch over to the FE, which is iron. That, look at that, it's just pumping out iron ingots, and that's going to keep our production nice and busy. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to queue up a few. So we're going to put more mortars, more construction components, to replace some steel plates. Now, while that's just topping up there, just to finish off these last 2 bits here, a couple of things I want to mention. These small steel plates here will protect our pretty much anything that we don't want to be damaged. Now, you'll also notice that the base is actually using the battery power of this. Now, we don't want this to run out of power, so before I go any further, I'm going to jump in, I'm going to press K. I'm going to select my 3 batteries because I've got 3 on here now. And then I'm going to create a group. I'm going to create it utility miner batteries. Because if you call it batteries and you call something else batteries, the system will think they're both the same, and if you turn one off, it'll turn them both off. If you got one called batteries and you got another called batteries, it's more than likely going to turn them both off. So make sure you call them something different. We can then go to our G, we can then go to our groups, go to our batteries, slide them on there, and set to recharge on off. As they are at the moment, they're set to autos. Now, because we're using a lot of stuff on the base, we're producing stuff and we're also smelting them ores. We're using a lot of power. The likelihood is the base can't cope with it. But we're not overly worried because we're only using it to power everything as and when it's needed. So, and obviously our suit and stuff like that. So we can switch the batteries on to recharge. Now that will stop it from taking the power away from our miner, which is very important for us because we need the miner to get the resources to expand the base to something a little bit better than what we've got now. So, we've done that there. It's safely connected to the base, it's safely charging the batteries. We've got 2 of these to produce here. And I'm kind of happy with how it is. There is a couple of points that are weak for this, where these stick out here. But I don't want it too wide, because the wider it's going to be, the harder it's going to be to drive when we're actually doing the mining stuff. And also, these bits sticking out here really are annoying. As you notice, when we were inside that little hole, they were catching me because they stick out. A little easier to control something that's like blocky like you've got there than having something sticking out the back of it. Now, before I finish off the last little thing here, which is just minor, the minor touch-ups, I want to talk about colour. To make it easier to see what you're colouring, if you place a block in your hand, anything that the block is hovering over, as you can just see there, I'm hovering over the battery, so the outline of the block of the battery is there in red. That's what I'm going to be painting. Now to paint, if you press the P button, you can then select which colour you want. I like a nice clean armour. Now these are all determined on what you have as unlocks or as cosmetic items or decorative packs. You have to make sure it says use skin to repaint if you want the skin on there, and if you want the colour also included, you use colour to repaint. You can switch one or both off, or either or, and it will only do one or the other. If you want it just to change the style of the look of it, so rather than having this standard armor plate, you can have clean plate, which I'm going to put on, but I don't want to change any of the colours, and I want to do it in in any multiple number of cases, or if there's multi-colours on there and I just want to change the style of it, then you just don't tick that and that's that done. But I want to make this a utility colour, so I'm going to place a yellow on there. Now if I press the middle mouse button, it paints what I'm targeting, like so. If you're trying to get inside the nook and crannies, the likelihood is you're going to miss some stuff. So the best thing to do is you can either paint in a large block by pressing the control key, and I believe it's 9 blocks or 6 blocks on a small block. Is it 9 blocks? I'm pretty sure it's 9 blocks. It is 9 blocks. 9 blocks there. Now if you want to paint it all, then you press the shift key and it'll paint a larger area. Control shift paints everything. The whole thing is now yellow, and it's nicely easily spotted, and we're happy days. I kind of like it yellow, and I'm going to put some little bit more finesse on it at a later stage, but for now it can stay as it is. Looks good, does the job. Things are a little bit more stable, they're held on by more than one block. I've placed some blocks underneath here so the piping's protected, and also it's connected there as well by these blocks here. So I'm a little happier with this ship than I was with the other one. Now what you could have done instead is you could have just added more things to the other one, like some power supply or whatever you want to do. However, I wanted to build something a little bit more to my style, so that's what I've gone and done here, and it should hold up for quite some time. It should certainly allow us to be able to build the things we need to build as we go through this guide. It will provide us with everything we need. So let's go ahead and grab our last couple of bits. We're still not going through our iron yet, so we've got plenty of iron now, and we've got plenty of resources finally. Let's go ahead and weld these two. Oh, we need 2 large steel tubes, that's not a problem. I believe I placed large steel tubes on. Remember, space is relative to the up and down. And we do. Excellent. So we've got our last 2 large steel tubes. Okay. Now, if you're welding something that's already set to the outline, you will not repaint it. It will stay to the colour it already is. If you place blocks on and not change your colour, you will, however, place it on and have it the colour you selected. Bear that in mind. Now, the final thing that I want on this ship, and then we can call it done, is lights. This is quite a light area and it's not too bad, so we don't have a problem. But the one thing I've done is I've left this flat so I can place a light in the centre there, and I'm then going to place a light on either side of the back end of my miner here. And then I'm going to weld them up. They're just construction components. Now the reason for this is as standard, the maps are actually quite light. A lot of the light does bleed through the system, but as I've mentioned, one of the mods you can remove all that and make it a little bit more realistic. But there's a couple of things we can do with lights, and if I go over to our little hole here, as a matter of fact, let's go over to our mining that we had earlier on. So let's switch the power back on and unlock. We've got a little bit more power now. Let's zoom in a little bit so we can see what we're doing. And then let's shoot on over to our mining little location that we've got here. And the reason why I'm doing it here is because I'm going to be making big holes in this area, so if I drill a hole, to show what I mean, it's not going to cause us many problems. Lower down, so we got. Now, once you start shadowing stuff like this, you're going to start struggling to see as you go into your hole, like so. I'll place myself inside here. Just make this a little bit bigger for our ship. Bigger ship now. Go. Without obviously welding away or mining away all the ore. So, as you can see, we can see where we're pointing ourselves with our interior lights of our suit, and it is a little bit lighter around the rest of the ship. The deeper we go, the darker it's going to be, and obviously the light's currently directly above us. If I try and go in, let's try and go in this way here. We'll just make ourselves a little bit of a hole here, and we'll just dig through like so, without wasting ore. I don't want to waste this ore because we're going to need it. You'll find that if I place it here, you'll find that it gets pretty down dark. But even with lights, it's still a little hard to see. If we press our K button and find our interior lights, what we can do is a few things. Firstly, if you're using the respawn ship, the likelihood is they'll be blinking like so. Turn that blink off, it's just to drag that down and it'll stay permanently on. Now there's a couple of other things we can do. We can increase the intensity of the lights, which is generally down to like the colouring and stuff like that. We can also increase the radius, and we can increase it massively like you can see there. Now I can see everything in here, and you'll also notice that the bloom that was on the lights themselves have actually dropped down, so I'm not blinded by where they are. As a matter of fact, I can actually see pretty well now, and we can keep going deeper and deeper down, and as you can see, we have absolutely no problems with seeing now. I can see clearly to get myself back out, and I can also see what ores I'm mining. It's worthwhile doing something like that. It does require a little bit more power, but the cost of power is far greater than being able to see what you're actually doing. Look at that little section there. Just bear in mind things like that because it's a little hard to get about. You can see now, day or night, no matter how deep you are, you're going to always have plenty of lighting. While we're here, we may as well grab a bit more resource. But that's pretty much this mining ship done now. It's going to be a hell of a lot better for us now. It is a little bit bigger than I had hoped for. I like to make it a little bit more streamlined, but without placing things on the sides of it, like the power supply and having it offset and stuff like that, then, you know, you're starting to make things a lot bigger. But it is nice and small and compact still compared to some of the ships that we are going to be building. I'm going to grab myself some nickel while we're here. lots and lots of resources in the area for us to use. The only thing other than this we need now is silicon and obviously silver to make ourselves some other stuff. But we're ready to go. We are set. We've got a mining ship. Everything is good to go. Get ourselves out of this hole. Just bear in mind, obviously your weight still is an issue. This ship isn't designed to take too much weight, so just offset your weight to the power you need to actually operate. Keep in mind your battery power and stuff like that. Make sure we set it to recharge when you're on the base, so the base doesn't use power. Because if it does run out of power, the likelihood is it's going to drop off your base, because your base isn't going to sustain the power connection. But that's everything for our mining ship now. We are set, good to go. The next thing we need to start looking at is things like the base itself and some base defenses as well for when we get the drones and stuff like that to come and attack us. At the moment this is quite peaceful, and you'll find that in your gameplay it's also just as peaceful. I've not changed anything other than there being no meteors. That's just set the environmental difficulty for that. But we've got ourselves our mining ship, we're good to go. Hopefully you've enjoyed watching this episode and you've got as much information as you need from it. That's pretty much everything you need to know about our mining ship. Until we come to doing something bigger, or you come to doing like mining platforms, and we will be doing mining platforms, this will set you right for most of the beginning part of the game. Next time we'll come back and we'll start building a base, and we'll start looking at mining platforms and building cargo ships rather than mining ships. But until then, hopefully you've enjoyed this episode. Let me know in the comment section if you need any help, suggestions, tips, ideas, anything like that, or if you want me to do something specific. If it's something that's not related to the guide, I will more than happily log on to our multiplayer server and show you what you need to know, or go through anything like that. Other than that, make sure you do check out the multiplayer server and the Discord to get involved in that. We have plenty of spaces for people to join us on any kind of build that you want to do. But until next time, everybody, take care for now, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye bye for now.